A story doesn't always end with an argument, tears, or harsh words. Sometimes it ends in the most subtle and silent way possible. There's no goodbye, no slamming of a door, just a silence that grows longer day after day, like a fog covering everything that was there before. That's when everything begins to change. She doesn't need to say, "I don't want you anymore." Her body, her gaze, her voice, the timing, they speak before her mouth. But you, blinded by habit or hope, don't see it right away. You cling to the memory of how it was, to the sweetness of the past, to the thought that maybe it's just a phase. It's not. What you're feeling, that chill that grows even when she smiles at you, that emptiness that opens even when you're next to her, isn't imagination. It's the silent language of estrangement. And if you want to save yourself, not the relationship, but yourself, you must learn to listen to it. The Stoics said that the wise man doesn't let himself be surprised by events, because he observes them in their essence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Things don't hurt us. It's our judgment of them that hurts us." And when a woman begins to withdraw, most men do exactly that. They judge. They agonize. They interpret every gesture as a riddle to be deciphered, because they don't accept the simple, painful reality. She's fading away. The first sign is invisible but unmistakable: the absence of energy. There's no more warmth. There's no more light in her gaze. There's no more curiosity when you speak. It's not what you say, but how she's no longer listening to you. You feel present but not perceived. She looks at you but doesn't see you. She responds but doesn't hear you. And that kind of distance isn't measured in kilometers. It's measured in vibrations. Once upon a time, she sought you out even just with her gaze. Not now. She doesn't provoke you anymore. She doesn't challenge you. She doesn't even get annoyed. And do you know why? Because indifference is the coldest point in love. When a woman stops arguing, she also stops investing. Disinterest is the final stage of detachment. Yet, many men mistake that silence for peace. They think, "At least we don't fight anymore." But the truth is, not fighting anymore isn't always peace. It's often surrender. She's no longer angry because she doesn't care enough to be angry. She no longer complains because she's stopped hoping you'll understand. She no longer seeks attention because she knows she won't find it. And you, blind to these signs, continue to try what to do to make her go back to the way she was. But the truth is, you can't make her go back. You can only go back to yourself. The Stoics taught that life is a constant exercise in separation. You learn to let go of what's beyond your control. You learn to distinguish between what you can control and what you must accept. And love, as cruel as it may seem, follows the same law. You can't control the heart of someone who no longer chooses you, but you can control how you react to their absence. The second sign is emotional disconnection. They no longer share their little things with you. Their messages become short, functional, soulless. They talk to you less, they open up less, they no longer seek your opinion as before. They're slowly taking away the privilege of being part of their world, and it's a silent, almost imperceptible process. There's no specific day when they stop. Simply, every time they seek comfort or excitement, they go elsewhere, not to you. The man who ignores these signals is deluding himself. He tells himself that she's stressed, that she needs space, that it's just a moment. But it's not a moment. It's an ongoing decision. Women don't suddenly distance themselves. They do it gradually, while they build the separation inside themselves like a house. Brick by brick, day after day, until one day they realize they no longer need to return. And when that happens, the man is stunned. Not because there weren't any signs, but because she didn't want to read them. The Stoics called this mistake willful blindness. It's that part of you that prefers to delude yourself rather than face the pain. But the truth doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. In fact, it grows. And when you finally face it, it's bigger than you. The reality is simple. When a woman wants you, you feel it. When she doesn't want you, you understand. If you have the courage to see. The third sign is a lack of reciprocity. She no longer texts you first. She never suggests meeting up. She replies yes, but doesn't participate. There's no longer any enthusiasm, no longer any initiative. And you find yourself always being the one, keeping the conversation going. It's not malice, it's disinterest. But instead of accepting it, you chase it. You try to rekindle something with gestures, attention, effort, and the more you do it, the more she withdraws. Because masculine energy doesn't conquer through begging, conquer through presence and detachment, through consistency, not chasing. When a woman senses you're trying to regain her attention, she understands you've already lost it inside yourself, and your insecurity pushes her away even further. The masculine by nature doesn't beg. He withdraws, observes, processes, and acts only when the time is right. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly: the strong man doesn't complain about the wind, he adjusts the sails. If she doesn't want you anymore, don't ask yourself how to change the wind. Change your course. Use that silence to return to what you've forgotten: yourself. The pain of feeling ignored is real, but it can become the turning point in your evolution, because every rejection contains a hidden lesson that you don't need to be chosen to have value. It's a hard truth to accept, but once understood, it sets you free. The true Stoic doesn't fight for what moves away. He accepts, breathes, and returns to his center. She doesn't try to force love, because she knows that what is authentic doesn't need to be chased. And this calm, this inner silence, is what will make you desirable again. Not to her, but to life itself. Because when you learn to read the signs without reacting, when you accept detachment without begging, when you transform silence into strength, you become a man no rejection can break. Not because you're insensitive, but because you finally understood that what matters isn't who wants you, but who you choose to be when they no longer want you. Disinterest doesn't come like lightning. It comes like a breeze that you don't notice at first, then becomes a wind, then a storm. And when you finally realize that something has changed, it's already too late. But the truth is, she told you. Not with words, but with those small gestures that you ignored because you hoped you were wrong. Because it's easier to believe that she's just stressed than to admit to yourself that you no longer feel her presence. Disinterest has a subtle language, and those who are blind to details remain prisoners of illusion. One of the first signs is a lack of selective attention. When a woman desires you, even if she's tired, busy, or distracted, she'll find a way to let you know she's there. She'll write you a short but sincere message. Remember a detail you told her. Ask how your day went. It's not quantity, it's intention. But when her heart has already moved elsewhere, her attention becomes automatic, impersonal. She responds, yes, but in the same tone she would respond to anyone. Her interest becomes politeness. And you, if you don't want to get hurt, must learn to distinguish politeness from affection. Many men don't do this. They delude themselves that at least she'll respond. But a cold response is worse than silence, because it keeps you in suspense, gives you the illusion that there's still something to save. There isn't. A truly committed woman doesn't communicate out of obligation. She communicates out of desire, and when that desire fades, her voice changes. The words lose their warmth. The sentences become short, the tone becomes neutral. It's not anger, it's detachment. Another sign, more subtle but devastating, is the loss of curiosity. When a woman loves you, she observes you. She wants to know what you think, how you are, what you dream. Not because she wants to control you, but because she's interested in your world. Desire always stems from curiosity. But when she no longer asks you anything, when she no longer wants to know, when she stops exploring you, it means she's already stopped investing emotional energy in you. And energy, in love, is everything. The Stoics said that attention is the most valuable currency. Epictetus warned, where you place your attention, there is your soul. When her attention is no longer on you, her soul is no longer with you. Even if it's physically present, mentally, it's already elsewhere. But there's an even more eloquent sign: the absence of discomfort. It seems paradoxical, but it's true. When a woman truly cares about you, every misunderstanding disturbs her. Every silence from you unsettles her. Every distance pushes her to clarify. Not because she's insecure, but because she cares. When she no longer cares, you can disappear for hours, for days, and she won't budge. She doesn't seek you out. She doesn't ask. She doesn't comment. Not because she respects you, but because she no longer feels anything to lose. And this, for a man, is the hardest sign to accept, because it forces you to face a truth the ego can't tolerate. You're no longer a priority. Maybe you never really were, or maybe you were only as long as it needed you to be. But now you've become an afterthought. The man who doesn't want to see this continues to invest. He sends messages, makes excuses, seeks validation where there are no answers. Every gesture he makes comes from fear, not love. And the more he acts out of fear, the more he loses the dignity that made him attractive. Because true male charm doesn't come from the desire to be chosen, but from the certainty of being able to choose in return. The Stoics taught that dignity is not negotiable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The man who depends on the judgment of others does not own himself." When you desperately try to win back someone who ignores you, you are not fighting for love. You are giving up your freedom. You are telling the world that your value depends on another person's gaze. And nothing is more contrary to the Stoic spirit than this. Because the Stoic does not pursue. He observes, accepts, realigns himself. He knows that what distances himself is not a punishment, but a signal. It was time to return to his own center. There is another signal, less obvious but fundamental, a lack of vulnerability. When a woman no longer wants you, she stops showing herself to be fragile. She doesn't open up. She doesn't confide. She doesn't expose herself. She builds invisible walls made of fake smiles and neutral phrases. She makes you believe that everything is fine, but that serenity is only emotional distance in disguise. When a woman is still tied down, she can't be so composed. Because true love is always a little messy. But when it becomes too tidy, too cold, too polite, know that it is not balance. It is the end. And finally, the last sign. Time. The time that no longer dedicates itself to you. The time that passes and no longer includes you. Because time, more than words, always reveals the truth of what a person feels. When a woman stops making time for you, it's not because she's too busy. It's because she no longer considers you a priority. And this doesn't change with gifts, with attention, with effort. Because time is choice. And when she no longer chooses you, no gesture can compensate. The Stoics knew it. You can't force life to give you what isn't yours. You can only receive what belongs to you. And the love you deserve doesn't need to be asked for. When it's there, it manifests itself. When it's not there, it's felt. In the silence, in the details, in the small voids that become abysses. The wise man doesn't cling to the signs he hopes for. He reads the signs that exist. He doesn't interpret, he observes. He doesn't ask, he understands. And when he understands, he lets go. Because there is no greater loss than losing yourself trying to hold on to someone who no longer wants you. It's not coldness, it's respect. Respect for your energy, for your presence, for your life. Because those who ignore you don't deserve your reaction. Those who treat you with indifference don't deserve your explanation. And those who don't choose you don't deserve your time. Let them go with their silence. Stay with yours. But your silence must not be empty. It must be full of you. Because in the end, the difference between the man who collapses and the one who grows is not that one suffers less. It's that one transforms pain into awareness. And awareness, like iron in the forge, becomes steel. Love never dies suddenly. It dies slowly, consumed by a silent imbalance. One gives, the other takes. One builds, the other observes. One invests, the other considers whether to stay. And when you find yourself always being the one reaching out, sending messages, proposing, insisting, trying to fix, know that you're not in a relationship. You're in a mutual illusion that only lasts as long as you feed it. One-sided love is one of the most painful traps for modern man, because it's disguised as hope. You tell yourself that she just needs time, that maybe she's going through a difficult time, that you'll show her you care. But while you're building castles of intentions, she's already closing the doors inside herself. You've transformed, without realizing it, into the man who gives everything for crumbs. And worse yet, you call it love. The Stoics would have called it an addiction to judgment. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives for the approval of others dies every time he doesn't receive it. Every time you write to receive a response, every time you try to make her smile just to feel seen again, you are giving away a piece of your power. And whoever gives up their power also loses their calm, their clarity, their presence." Authentic love is balance. It's not giving and receiving in equal measure every day, but it is feeling that both of you are present, that the energy flow is not one way, that the words, the gestures, the connection are not kept alive by you alone. When the other stops participating, love becomes a race against time, a race you will never win. Because you can't save a relationship alone. You can only save yourself within it. Yet, many men remain trapped in this dynamic. They keep investing, giving, insisting, hoping that consistency will be mistaken for value. But it doesn't work that way. Love doesn't grow from the amount of your efforts, it grows from reciprocity. And when reciprocity dies, the harder you try, the more desperate you seem. The woman who no longer wants you isn't moved by your attempts. She tires, because your insistence communicates need, not strength, and need never attracts, it suffocates. The Stoic knows this. He knows that nothing forced can last. He knows that love, like freedom, must be chosen every day. And when it is no longer, he must have the courage to let it die in silence. Epictetus wrote, "Never say of a thing, 'I lost it.' Say instead, 'I gave it back.' You haven't lost anything. You have given back what no longer belonged to you. When you love alone, you are no longer loving a person. You are loving the memory of what that person was. You are trying to reanimate a ghost, to bring back to life an emotion that exists only in your mind. But reality is not nostalgia. Reality is what's happening now, and now she's gone. Not in the way you hoped. One-sided love doesn't elevate you, it empties you. And when a man empties himself for a love that doesn't nourish him, he also loses his self-respect. You get used to giving too much, to justifying the unjustifiable, to excusing coldness as character. You convince yourself that being good means enduring, but boundless goodness becomes self-destruction. The Stoics taught that virtue is always balance. You mustn't be cold, but you mustn't be blind either. Your heart must be used, but guided by reason. And reason tells you that if a woman doesn't reciprocate, it's not destiny, it's misalignment. And when something is misaligned, you don't force it, you let go. There's a precise moment when a man must stop, when you realize you're fighting more to be accepted than to be loved. When every gesture you make no longer comes from authenticity, but from the need to feel chosen again. Stop, breathe, look the truth in the eye. You can't force anyone to see your worth. You can only stop hiding it behind your insistence, because every time you seek, beg, insist, you're telling the world and her that your worth depends on her consent. And the man who lives for consent has already lost his freedom. True love doesn't ask you to bend. It inspires you to grow. And if the only thing you get from that woman is exhaustion, confusion, and a sense of inferiority, then it's not love. It's a lesson. And a lesson, once learned, isn't repeated. Strong men don't stay where they're unwanted. Not out of pride, but out of respect. Because they know that the energy you waste today trying to convince someone is the same energy you'll need tomorrow to build yourself. Every time you withdraw with dignity, you earn respect, even from those who didn't know how to love you. Because the silence of a man who stops seeking speaks louder than 1,000 words. His detachment is proof of his strength. His not pursuing is proof of his worth. Because he who is not afraid of losing is already free. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No one can hurt you without your consent. Never give it." When a woman no longer wants you, Don't also give her the power to make you lose yourself. Stand firm, even if it hurts. Accept, even if it burns, because the man who knows how to accept what he cannot change is the man who becomes imperturbable. And imperturbability is not coldness, it is mastery. It is saying, I can feel everything, but I will not let myself be dominated by anything. From that point on, no woman will be able to confuse you with her silences. No absence will be able to break you, because you will have learned the most powerful lesson of all. True love begins when you stop chasing what does not choose you. There are women who don't really want you, but they don't want you to go away either. They don't love you, but they don't let you go either. They don't desire you enough to build something with you, but they keep you close enough to not feel alone. And if you're not clear-headed, you fall into the most poisonous trap of all, confusing sporadic attention with genuine affection. This is the game of false interest, a subtle, mental, emotional game. There's no explicit malice, but there's silent manipulation. She knows exactly how much to give you to keep you there. A message after days of silence, a vague phrase, a smile, a photo, a sudden memory, just enough to make you think that maybe there's something left, but there isn't. There's only a masterfully managed illusion. False interest is the most elegant form of emotional control, and its strength lies in your hope, because as long as you hope, you stay. And as long as you stay, you're predictable. The Stoic, on the other hand, doesn't live on hope. He lives on reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept things as they are, not as you wish them to be." The reality, in these cases, is simple. If she wants you, she'll be there. If she's not there, she doesn't want you. Everything else is ego grasping for crumbs. False interest is recognized by a precise pattern. It appears only when you're moving away. As long as you're pursuing it, it stays distant. As soon as it senses your energy retreating, it returns. Not out of love, but out of control. It wants to know it can still rebalance your balance, that it doesn't take much to bring you back. It doesn't care about your heart, it cares about your availability. And if you're not centered, you fall for it every time. Because the male brain confuses randomness with connection. You think, she texted me, so she misses me. No, she texted you because she sensed your detachment. Not because she wants you, but because she can't stand the idea of no longer being the center of your attention. This is the female ego. And it's not evil, it's simply human. But you have to learn to recognize it. Because if you don't recognize it, you suffer. False interest doesn't want to build. It just wants to verify. It wants to know if you're still there, ready to respond, ready to give in, and if you respond immediately. If you show that you're always available, you've just confirmed what she wanted to know, that she still has you. The Stoics called this mistake loss of internal power. Epictetus said, "He who lets himself be carried away by external things is a slave to external things." You become a slave to a message, to a vague signal, to an intermittent presence that gives you nothing but takes everything from you: time, peace, respect. And the more you try to understand what she wants, the more she gets exactly what she wants: your involvement. Because the most precious thing a man can give is not his love, it's his attention. And when you waste it interpreting ambiguous behavior, you're wasting the only energy that makes you powerful. The Stoic doesn't interpret, he observes. He doesn't read hidden signals, he reads concrete behaviors. He doesn't get lost in maybes, he lives in facts. The fact is, a woman who truly wants you doesn't disappear. She doesn't send confusing signals, she doesn't appear and disappear at will. It doesn't make you feel insecure, it doesn't keep you in suspense. A woman who wants you chooses you, clearly, consistently, openly. Everything else is noise. But why do you stay in the noise? Because false interest strokes your ego. It makes you feel desired again, even if only for a moment. It makes you believe that something can still be saved. It makes you feel special, even if only when it's spiraling out of control. It's a drug. And like any drug, it gives you an immediate rush and then drains you. After every sudden text, every out of context, "How are you?" every little signal, you feel a flash of euphoria. Then comes the emptiness, because after she calls you back, she goes back into silence, and you're left there, wondering what happened. It's a cycle that repeats itself until you consciously escape it. And there's only one way out: by acknowledging the game and refusing to play. When he texts you after days, don't reply right away. Not to be mysterious, but to prove to yourself that you no longer need to react, that your mood is no longer in his hands, that your balance isn't for sale for a message. Marcus Aurelius said, "Calm is invincible when it depends on nothing external." That's your victory. When your calm no longer depends on his attention, you've regained power. You don't have to be cold. You have to be indifferent in practice, not in your heart. It means you can still feel something, but you no longer act on that feeling. Act on your dignity. The man who learns this is no longer manipulable. No message, photo, or gesture can make him waver, because he's learned to distinguish between connection and control. Connection builds. Control consumes. And every time you react to false interest, you consume yourself a little more. You don't need his confirmation. You need your consistency. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I don't bend to be remembered." Because the woman who plays with your ego isn't looking for a man. She's looking for an audience. And if you stop paying attention to her, her performance ends. And when it ends, she'll feel the silence she once tried to fill with you, but this time you won't be there anymore. Because you will have learned the most powerful lesson a man can learn. Not everything that seeks you wants you, and not everything that wants you deserves you. There are relationships that don't end with a breakup. They end with distance, with a hug that becomes habit, with a look that no longer seeks you, with an "I love you" that sounds like a courtesy. It's in that moment that many men lose themselves, because they believe that as long as she's physically there, the relationship still exists. But that's not the case. A body can remain, even when the soul is already gone. Emotional distance is like a room that slowly empties. The walls remain, but the air changes. There's less warmth, less life, less presence. And you, without realizing it, begin to breathe hard. You feel next to her, but not with her. You speak, but the words bounce. You touch her, but the contact no longer transmits anything. You look at her, but you no longer see yourself in her eyes. It's as if she's turned off something inside without warning you. And the paradox is that this distance isn't silence. It's noise. It's the constant dissonance between what you do to get closer and what she no longer does. Your every gesture falls on deaf ears. Your every attention goes unanswered. And you begin to push, to do more, to try in every way to rekindle something. But the more you move, the further you distance yourself. Because emotional distance isn't filled with insistence. It's filled only with authentic presence. And when she no longer wants to be there, no matter how much love you put in, it won't come. The Stoic doesn't try to hold back what's happening. He observes, accepts, prepares. She knows that life works in cycles. What is born, grows, flourishes, and then declines. And decline is not failure. It's just reality. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. Everything that happens is natural. Accepting it with serenity means living in harmony with nature. But when a woman distances you, you often react like someone fighting the sea. You struggle, you swim, you struggle, but the wave carries you away anyway. The sign of emotional distance is simple. There's no longer any reciprocity. You feel, she observes. You speak, she nods. You ask, she responds vaguely. Not because she's distracted, but because she's no longer involved. Yet, her body remains there. And this confuses you. You cling to her physical presence as proof that there's still something there. But the truth is that the body is just the shell. The heart, when it leaves no farewell notes. It leaves silences. You realize that she no longer looks at you with the same intensity, that her gestures are mechanical, that she no longer seeks contact, that she greets you with a kiss but with a soul elsewhere. It's a goodbye disguised as routine. And you, if you're not centered, Start begging for attention, asking her, "What's going on?" Seeking reassurance. But that doesn't bring her closer. You push her even further away, because need, when it's felt, is heavy. And nothing pushes a woman away more than a man who has lost his calm. The Stoics taught that calm is a sign of mastery. Epictetus said, "Don't try to make things happen the way you want them to. Instead, wish them to happen the way they happen, and your life will flow peacefully." This doesn't mean giving up. It means acknowledging, recognizing when the energy is no longer mutual, when you're talking to yourself, when the only one who still believes is you. It's painful, yes, but it's also liberating, because you stop fooling yourself, stop fighting the wind, and start investing again where it matters, within yourself. Emotional distance is like a silent test. It shows you how whole you can remain when love no longer supports you. This is where the strength of the modern Stoic comes from, in not collapsing when the world no longer responds, in remaining stable while everything around you changes. Because a woman may distance herself, fate may change, circumstances may crumble, but your center must remain. This is where you learn to transform pain into wisdom. Every cold look becomes a lesson in detachment. Every silence becomes an invitation to return to yourself. Every disappointment becomes a test of your solidity. You can't force anyone to stay, but you can choose not to lose yourself as they leave. This is mastery. Not mastery over the other, but over yourself. And when you learn this, you become a man who no longer fears loss, because you have understood that no one truly leaves you until you abandon yourself. The modern world confuses love with fusion, but true love is freedom. And freedom sometimes includes separation. Don't try to hold on to someone who has already distanced themselves. Let the distance take its course, because only what is authentic will return on its own. And if it doesn't return, it was only a passage, not destiny. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Welcome with gratitude what life offers you, and let go with grace what no longer belongs to you." Grace, today, is your weapon. Calm, your defense. Silence, your redemption. There's no need to ask for explanations. There's no need to chase answers. The truth, if you learn to listen, is already all in her gestures, in her delays, in her eyes that no longer seek you. She's already gone. Now it's up to you to decide whether you want to follow her or go home, into yourself. And when you return, you'll understand that you've lost nothing. You've only gained what mattered most, your peace. There are men who don't stay out of love. They stay out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of discovering that without her, they no longer know who they are. It's a silent but devastating fear. You don't show it, you don't say it, you don't even admit it to yourself. But it's there, in your every gesture, in the way you avoid conflict, in the way you justify her every detachment, in the way you accept a little less so as not to lose her completely. And so, day after day, you stop being a man and become a prisoner. Emotional dependence is not love. It's an absence of self. It's living for someone who is no longer with you or who no longer chooses you with the same intensity. It's building your identity around an unstable presence. And nothing is more destructive for a man than this. The Stoic knew it. Those who depend on what they can't control will always suffer. Epictetus said it bluntly, "When something beyond your control troubles you, know that it is your opinion of it, not the thing itself, that is hurting you." When a woman walks away and you stay alone out of fear, you are not choosing her. You are choosing to avoid yourself. Because facing yourself is scarier than losing her. You have convinced yourself that without her you would be empty. That your calm, your strength, your direction depend on that relationship. But that is not the case. She does not complete you. She distracts you from what you do not want to see inside yourself. And so, instead of facing the emptiness, you fill it with her presence, even if it is empty. You settle for shreds of attention, for tepid gestures, for words that sound like echoes of a past that will never return. Every time you do this, You distance yourself a little further from your power, because the man who stays out of fear no longer loves. He survives. And survival is not love. It is slavery. You feel strong because you don't give up. But in reality, you're just avoiding reality. You're struggling to avoid facing the loss, not to save something that still exists. And the longer you stay, the weaker you become. Because every day you endure a loss that wears you down, you're teaching the world, and her, that you can be treated this way. Not out of malice, but out of inertia. Because what you tolerate, you authorize. The Stoics called this lack of control. And for them, there was no greater failure than this: losing control of your own mind and emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The man who lets himself be carried by events like a leaf before the wind does not live. He is lived." And you, when you stay out of fear, are letting someone else decide the value of your life. Every time you repress what you feel, every time you say, "It's okay," when it's not right, every time you close your eyes to coldness, you are giving up a fragment of your freedom. And in the end, it's not her who's leaving you. It's you who's abandoned yourself. Emotional dependence is insidious because it disguises itself as pure love. It makes you believe that your dedication is a virtue, that your resistance is a sign of strength, but it's not. It's fear disguised as loyalty. It's need disguised as romance. True love doesn't drain you. It elevates you. It doesn't keep you awake at night. It gives you peace. It doesn't make you doubt yourself. It makes you feel more like yourself. When you love someone who loves you, you grow. When you love someone who ignores you, you burn out. And if you're reading these signs, you're probably burning out. Not because you're weak, but because you've forgotten who you are without her. This is where the discipline of the Stoic comes in. The ability to separate what's yours from what's not. Your love, your commitment, your presence, they're yours. Her response, her choice, her interest, they're not. And you can't build your serenity on what you can't control. When you begin to understand this, something inside you changes. You realize that the fear of losing her is only the fear of no longer recognizing yourself. But if you learn to stand alone, that fear dissolves. Because you discover that you can breathe even without her. You can live even without her attention. You can be complete even in the void. And in that moment, you become untouchable. Not because you no longer feel emotions, but because they no longer enslave you. You feel, but you don't react. You love, but you don't beg. You desire, but you don't depend. This is the heart of Stoicism applied to love. It's not cold detachment, it's warm mastery. It's the calm that comes from knowing you don't need to hold on to what doesn't belong to you. Epictetus said, "It is the duty of a wise man to desire only what he can control." You can't control a woman's heart. You can only control how you react to her silence. And the right response today is simple. Stop staying out of fear. Stay only by choice. Because a man who stays for fear of losing has already lost the most important thing, himself. When you learn to let go, fear loses its power over you. And paradoxically, it's precisely at that moment that you begin to be truly desired, because the world respects only those who don't beg. And love returns, but only from those who have the courage not to chase it. It's perhaps the most deceptive and painful situation of all. When a woman respects you, appreciates you, esteems you, but no longer desires you. She doesn't treat you badly, she doesn't completely ignore you, she doesn't leave you. She simply doesn't hear from you anymore. And this is worse than any explicit rejection, because at least if she rejects you openly, you know where you stand. But when she stays by your side out of habit, out of affection, out of convenience, she slowly saps your strength without you realizing it. She says kind words to you, smiles at you, even hugs you, but she does it like caressing an old memory, with tenderness, not with passion. And you at first don't understand it. It seems to you that everything is fine, that the relationship is mature, calm, stable, but in reality, it's just dulled. because love without desire is not peace, it's stagnation. Respect is important, yes, but when it's all that remains, it's no longer love. It's gratitude, and gratitude doesn't warm hearts. The Stoic would say it this way: respect without passion is like virtue without action, noble but sterile. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Life is neither good nor bad. It's what you make of it." And this also applies to love. It's not kindness that keeps it alive, but the vital presence of two energies that attract, challenge, and nourish each other. When that tension disappears, the relationship becomes a coexistence of two polite people, and you, without realizing it, begin to lose your virility. Because virility is not measured in physical strength, but in polarity. In that invisible spark that arises from your inner fire, from your confident gaze, from your independence. When you stop radiating that energy, she stops feeling attracted. Yet, she'll continue to tell you she respects you, but she doesn't want you anymore. And you'll continue to believe that it's okay. It's not okay, because respect is the foundation, not the goal. And if a woman respects you but doesn't want you, it's only a matter of time before she looks elsewhere for what she no longer feels with you. Many men fall into this gray area because they confuse stability with security. They think that no more fighting means being mature. But the truth is that it often means being dead inside. She no longer challenges you because she no longer wants to discover you. She no longer provokes you because she has nothing left to awaken. She no longer gets angry because she doesn't care enough to react. And you, instead of seeing reality, settle in. You get used to comfort, to routine, to the fact that, at least she's not gone. But in reality, she's already gone. You just haven't noticed. Because desire doesn't die overnight. It slowly fades away. Every time you give up on yourself to keep the peace. Every time you accept silence instead of facing it. Every time you choose to be predictable for fear of losing her. And the more predictable you become, the more she stops seeing you as a man. She sees you as security, as stability, as refuge. But no woman desires refuge. She desires strength. Not the aggressive kind, but the calm, intense, profound kind. That strength that doesn't need to scream, but is felt when you walk into a room. The Stoics called it autarky, the ability to be self-sufficient. Epictetus said, "Do you want to be invincible? Then don't depend on what is not in your power." And nothing is less within your power than another person's desire. You can't force it. You can't manipulate it. You can't rekindle it with gifts or words. You can only win it back by becoming yourself again. Because a woman desires what she respects, but only as long as that man doesn't lose his mystery. And mystery isn't a game. It's the fruit of your inner independence. When you live to please her, to avoid disappointing her, to avoid losing her, she stops seeing you as the leader of your life. And when a man stops directing his own direction, he loses the magnetism that makes him attractive. It's not your fault. It's a natural law. No one desires what's too readily available. The Stoic doesn't try to recapture attraction. He recaptures his essence. He withdraws, reflects, recalibrates. He stops begging for attention and begins to build his presence again. Because masculine presence is the magnet of desire. It's the firm, silent, coherent energy that makes a woman feel in front of a man. You mustn't become distant or cold. You must refocus. Stop trying to do something to rekindle interest. You must be something. Be the man who isn't afraid of silence, who isn't afraid of loss, who doesn't dissolve into the need for acceptance. And when you become that, she feels it. Not because you tell her, but because your energy changes. Respect is maintained through consistency. Desire is rekindled through presence. And presence is born from detachment. It's paradoxical, but it's true. Only when you stop wanting her can she desire you again, because you no longer emanate need. You emanate freedom. And freedom is the essence of attraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote it in his Meditations. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. When you are in harmony with yourself, there is nothing left to chase. You don't seek interest, you inspire it. You don't seek love, you attract it. You don't seek approval, you surpass it. And from that peace, a different magnetism is born, more mature, more silent, more irresistible. The man who doesn't need to please anyone is the only one everyone wants to understand. And she one day will feel it. Not in your gestures, but in your absence. In the way you no longer try to convince her. In the way you've become inaccessible. Then maybe she'll come back. But at that point, you'll never be the same. Because you'll have discovered that respect from others is worthless if you haven't first earned respect for yourself. Every woman, consciously or unconsciously, tests the man in front of her. Not out of malice, but out of instinct. It's a primal form of verification. She wants to know if the man she's with is solid, consistent, capable of bearing the weight of reality. She wants to feel, deep down, that she can trust him even when everything is shaky. But when a woman tests you after her interest has already faded, she's no longer doing it to get closer. She's doing it to gauge how much power she has left over you, and these tests don't come with direct words. They come with silences, with small emotional shifts, with subtle provocations that seem casual but aren't at all. She texts you after days just to say something neutral. She posts a story she knows you'll see. She mentions another man casually. She throws phrases like, "You look changed," "You seem more distant," or the classic, "You're not interested anymore, are you?" She's not looking for a conversation. She's looking for a reaction. She wants to know if you're still there, if her silence still moves you, if her disinterest makes you tremble. And the moment you react, you get angry, you justify yourself, you try to clarify, is the moment you hand over power to her again. Because emotion is the language of control. Whoever can make you react owns you. The Stoic knows this well. Epictetus said, "Whoever irritates you conquers you." Every time you let yourself be provoked, you're telling the world that your calm isn't your own, that your balance is in the hands of someone who knows your weak points. And the woman who tests you knows exactly where to strike. She doesn't always do it with malice, but with surgical precision. She knows your silences, your needs, your weaknesses. She knows what triggers you, what pushes you to react. And sometimes it takes very little. A word, a gesture, a cold response. You feel destabilized and you react. You write to her more, you pursue her, you accuse her, you implore her, you challenge her. But in both cases you lose. Because the test isn't about the content, it's about your ability to remain unchanged. The man who has self-control doesn't respond to fire with fire. He observes, acknowledges, and remains steadfast. He knows that the provocation isn't personal. It's the other's attempt to calm his own insecurity. And the woman who provokes does so because, deep down, she needs to feel that she can still touch something in you. Not out of love, but to confirm her own importance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of others is a vanishing shadow. Don't give it more weight than you would the wind." Your silence in those moments is the most powerful response you can give. Not to manipulate, but to affirm who you are. Because the man who doesn't react is not cold, he's centered. And that centering is felt. It's calm, firm, impenetrable. It's a strength that doesn't need to defend itself because it doesn't feel attacked. Silent tests are inevitable, but you shouldn't face them as challenges. You must use them as mirrors. Every provocation shows you how much you still are tied to the need for confirmation. Every silence shows you how much you need validation. Every biting word shows you how vulnerable you are to the ego. And every time you resist, that you breathe instead of reacting, that you smile instead of explaining, that you observe instead of accusing, you become freer. Emotional freedom is born precisely there, in the ability to no longer be manipulated by the behavior of others. The Stoic doesn't react because he understands that reaction is a chain. Every time you move in response to, you are acting like a slave, not a free man. But the free man chooses. He chooses when to speak, when to remain silent, when to remain. He is never drawn into the game. He observes it from above, and it's not cold detachment, it's warm mastery. It's a firm presence. When a woman who ignored you comes back to test you, she wants to see if you're still the same. She wants to see if your silence was just a ruse or a transformation. And if you respond calmly, if you remain coherent, if you don't give in to the need to clarify, you show her the most powerful thing of all, that you've stopped being dependent. From then on, the dynamic changes. You're no longer the man who reacts to her rhythm. You are the man who dictates his own. And that stability, that unwavering serenity, has a magnetic effect, because the woman who lives on emotions and fluxes senses in you a fixed point, a pillar, and her deepest instinct pushes her to respect it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The man who masters himself masters the world." And he wasn't just referring to external power, but to the ability to remain true to yourself under any pressure. There's no need to respond in the right way. There's no need to do something. You just need to stay centered. This is the secret that transforms every test into an invisible victory. Not reacting is your revenge. Because when you don't react, the power returns to where it belongs, within you. The next time she disappears and then reappears, when she lightly provokes you, when she plays with boundaries, don't look for hidden meanings. Don't analyze, don't interpret. Look, observe. Feel inside yourself whether that energy elevates you or empties you. And if it empties you, walk away in silence. Silence, in some cases, is the highest form of authority. You don't have to explain anything to her. Your self-control is the answer. And she, even if she doesn't admit it, will feel it. Because a woman can forget a man who loves her too much, but she will never forget a man who had the strength not to react. When a woman ignores you, it doesn't just hurt your heart. It hurts something deeper, more subtle, more ancient. Your ego. It's not just the sadness of no longer being desired. It's the feeling of having been forgotten, as if everything you gave, everything you were, was no longer worth anything. It's an invisible wound, but a real one. It saps your energy, empties your mind, confuses your thoughts. And if you don't manage it consciously, it leads you in two equally dangerous directions, begging or closing yourself off. The first is the most common. When the male ego is wounded, it immediately seeks repair through approval. You want to feel seen again, still chosen, still desired. You try to win something back, but in reality, you're only trying to win yourself back through her. You write to her. You justify yourself. You try to clarify, to explain, to make her understand. But every message, every attempt, is like pouring water on sand. Nothing remains. And worse still, the more you insist, the more your value diminishes in her eyes. Because in the eyes of a woman, a man who begs is no longer a man. He's a child begging for attention from his mother, and desire, when pity takes over, dies. The second reaction, however, is the opposite. You close yourself off. You harden. You convince yourself that you don't need anyone. You lock yourself behind an armor of indifference and cynicism. You stop feeling, you stop trusting, you stop loving. But this too is a form of weakness, because it's the ego that reacts, not wisdom. It's wounded pride that builds walls, not inner strength that builds boundaries. The true Stoic doesn't beg, but he doesn't close himself off. He suffers, but he remains open. He feels everything, but he doesn't let it overwhelm him. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to us that destroys us, but how we react to what happens." And when you are hurt, you have a choice that will define the quality of your life. You can react with your ego, or you can respond with your conscience. Reacting with your ego means saying, "I'll prove her wrong. She'll see what she's lost. I'll make her look for me again." It's revenge disguised as self-esteem. It's the mind trying to rebalance the pain through control. But you can't heal by controlling. You can only heal by accepting. Accepting isn't resigning yourself. It's saying, "That's how it went, and that's okay." It's standing firm without the need to prove anything. When the ego bleeds, the temptation is to act immediately. Wisdom says the opposite. Don't move in the midst of the wound. Be still. Breathe. Observe your reaction as an outside observer. See how much it burns, how much you want to react, how much you want to be seen. And then choose not to, because every time you resist the impulse, you are reorganizing your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way to take revenge is not to be like the one who hurt you." You don't have to prove anything. You just have to become whole again. Healing the ego doesn't mean becoming numb. It means learning to distinguish between the pain of the heart and the roar of pride. The heart aches for what it has loved. Pride aches for what it has lost. And often the pain that tears you the most is not for her, but for the image you had of yourself when she desired you. You are mourning not just the loss of a person, but the loss of a version of yourself. That confident, attractive, desired version. And now you feel empty because that image has crumbled. But here's the key. That image wasn't you. It was a temporary reflection in her gaze. And the fact that it's gone doesn't mean you've lost value. It means you've been forced to go back inside to truly find it. The Stoics called this process returning to the center. When the outside world no longer recognizes you, you're forced to recognize yourself. And this is where authentic healing begins. There's no need to take revenge. There's no need to erase it. No need to show it that you're fine. You need to rebuild the silence within. Sit with your wound. Look at it. Don't push it away. Don't fill it with distractions. Welcome it like a teacher. Every wound to the ego is a reminder of the truth. You are never truly free as long as your peace depends on how someone sees you. It may be painful to accept, but it's the foundation of inner freedom. The day you stop wanting to be seen, you will finally be invisible but invincible. Because you will no longer need recognition to feel complete. This is the heart Stoicism. Don't eliminate emotions, but no longer be a slave to them. Don't deny pain, but transform it into discipline. Don't seek validation, but become your own validation. Marcus Aurelius said it with immortal words. When you have enough within you, no external event can take away your peace. A wounded ego is not a sign of weakness. It's a rite of passage. It's proof that you're moving beyond the need to be chosen, toward the freedom to be yourself. Don't beg. Don't close yourself off. Don't pretend. Stay present. Stay dignified. Stay silent. And let your silence rebuild your strength. Because the respect born from that kind of silence is the deepest of all. It's the respect you begin to feel for yourself. And when a man respects himself, no loss destroys him. Detachment is not coldness. It's not a lack of feeling. It's not caring. True detachment is the ability to remain whole, even when everything you cared about crumbles before your eyes. Many men confuse detachment with indifference, but they are two different worlds. Indifference is defense. It arises from the fear of feeling, from the anger of those who have been hurt, from the weariness of those who no longer want to take risks. Detachment, on the other hand, is domination. It arises from awareness, from the calm of those who have already felt everything, but no longer allow themselves to be destroyed by anything. The Stoic never stops loving. He loves without depending. He desires without losing himself. He gives without waiting. And when he learns the power of detachment, he becomes a free man, not because he doesn't feel, but because he is no longer governed by what he feels. Epictetus said, "He who desires only what is in his power is free. He who desires what is not in his power is a slave." When a woman ignores you, you are faced with this existential choice. You can become a slave to her attention, or you can free yourself in her silence. Detachment is not learned by reading. It is learned by bleeding. It is the wound that teaches you not to open yourself in the same way again, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. It is the pain that shows you how vulnerable you were to what you cannot control. At first, you feel like you're losing something. You feel empty, distant, almost disconnected. But in reality, you're withdrawing your energy from whatever was draining it. You're coming home. And when you return, you begin to understand that detachment isn't a wall, it's a filter. It allows you to love better, to choose with clarity, to no longer fall into the emotional dramas of those who only want to react. Detachment is power because it comes from a truth. Nothing belongs to you. Not the woman, not love, not the future. You can only honor what you have while it's there, and let it go when it needs to go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Welcome everything that happens to you as if it were chosen by you." When you begin to live like this, the world stops scaring you, because you no longer try to hold back. You no longer try to fix. You no longer try to understand. You simply accept. And in acceptance, you find a calm that no one can touch. Many men think that detachment will make them less human. In reality, it makes them deeper, because they no longer react to every stimulus like frightened animals, but choose how to respond, when to respond, and whether it's worth responding. The detached man isn't cynical. He's selective. He knows his energy is sacred, and he doesn't give it to anyone who wastes it. He's a man who smiles at an unanswered message, who doesn't struggle to understand why she doesn't text, who doesn't feel the need to appear stronger or colder. He simply doesn't depend, and that freedom is felt. You feel it, she feels it, everyone you meet feels it. Because the man who needs nothing is the one who attracts everything. Detachment isn't a lack of emotion, it's the mastery of emotions. It means telling yourself, yes, it hurts, yes, I'm sorry, but I won't let this destroy me. And then you continue living. You work, you build, you create, you grow. You transform pain into direction. You turn your silence into strength, because every time you choose not to react, you are rebuilding yourself. The Stoics saw detachment not as a way to escape life, but to better embrace it. When you are no longer a slave to your emotions, you can finally experience them all without fear. You can love more fully because you don't fear loss. You can give unreservedly because you don't seek anything in return. You can let go because you know that nothing truly belongs to you. Epictetus taught his students a daily exercise. When you take something in your hands, a cup, an object, even a person, remember that it is only temporary. Not to be cold, but to be grateful. Detachment is not the opposite of love. It is its purest form, because only those who know how to let go can love without fear. And when you get to this point, you no longer need to feign indifference. You no longer have to pretend that you're fine. You truly are fine. The woman who ignored you is no longer a wound. She's a chapter, a passage that taught you to return to yourself. And the day you see her again, if that happens, you will no longer feel anger or desire for revenge. Just a silent thank you, because her silence taught you more than 1,000 words. Marcus Aurelius summed it up like this: "What disturbs your mind is not events, but the judgment you make of events." You stopped judging, you stopped reacting, you stopped waiting. And from that moment on, no one can control you. Detachment doesn't take away your power. It gives it back to you. It makes you the master of your mind again, the master of your time, the guardian of your energy. And from that silence, a new form of strength is born. The calm that needs nothing to prove. The calm of the man who has seen the storm, but has chosen to remain still in its center. This is the calm that attracts, that inspires, that conquers. Not because it seeks, but because it is. And when you learn to be, you no longer need anything. There are moments when words are no longer necessary, not because there's nothing to say, but because to say it would be to undermine what you've already understood. Silence, in certain phases of life, isn't empty. It's a repressed fullness. It's the voice of strength that has stopped explaining, justifying, or trying to convince. When a woman ignores you, the strongest temptation is to fill the silence with words, to write, to ask, to clarify, to ask questions, to seek answers. But every word in those moments is a beggar's nest for attention, because those at peace don't explain, they observe. And when you learn to use silence, something extraordinary happens. Not only do you regain the respect of others, but also your own. The Stoic knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The greater your calm, the greater your power." Silence isn't an escape. It's a strategy. It's the decision to no longer participate in what diminishes you. It's the choice to let the facts speak for themselves, while you remain immobile, centered, impregnable. The woman who ignores you doesn't expect silence. She expects a reaction, a message, a question, an apology. When she finds emptiness, that emptiness becomes a mirror. It reflects her own distance, makes her feel the loss she thought she didn't have. Because human beings can't tolerate indifference. They can manage anger, they can sustain conflict, but silence disarms them. Because silence offers no hold, no opposition. It's like looking at a wall. It forces you to look inside yourself. And there, slowly, she will begin to feel the weight of your silence. Not because you want to manipulate, but because your absence will force her to acknowledge your presence. But be careful. Silence is powerful only if it comes from genuine calm, not resentment. If your silence is angry, she senses it. If it's a game to see if he comes back, she senses it. But if it's true, if it's peace, if it's detachment, if it's awareness, it becomes magnetic. Epictetus said, "What troubles a man is not what happens, but his opinion on what happens." Silence is proof that you have stopped having opinions, wanting to interpret, wanting to change things. You have accepted. And acceptance is the highest form of control. When you remain silent, not because you can't, but because you don't want to, you are communicating to the world your complete mastery. You are saying, "I don't need to react to prove who I am." And this, for those who observe you, is disconcerting. Many men don't understand that absence is a language. Silence speaks. It says everything that dignity doesn't allow you to say out loud. It says, "I don't accept less than I'm worth." It says, "I know who I am, even without you." It says, "I don't chase those who ignore me, because I know my worth." Every day of silence strengthens your roots. Every time you resist the temptation to write, you are building a new part of yourself. A part that no longer begs, that no longer reacts, that chooses. And when you learn to choose silence, you discover that you don't need to make noise to be heard. The man who speaks less is listened to more, because his calm generates respect. His detachment commands attention. His steady gaze weighs more than 1,000 words. The modern world is noisy. Everyone wants to speak, explain, respond. But strong men don't get lost in the noise. They remain silent because they know that those in power don't speak, they decide. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you are offended, remember that you are not obligated to react. You are not obligated to explain yourself. You are not obligated to clarify. You are not obligated to make anyone understand how you feel. Those who deserve to understand will understand it from your behavior. Those who don't deserve it won't understand even 1,000 words. So stop wasting energy trying to make yourself understood. Your inner clarity is already enough." Silence is also a way to detox. To remove voice from illusions, space from fears, weight from thoughts. The more you remain silent, the more you feel. The more you remain silent, the more you see who was truly with you and who was just passing by. The more you remain silent, the more you return to your essence. Silence is an act of self-respect. It is the implicit declaration that you are no longer willing to participate in dynamics that rob you of peace. And from that moment, your energy changes. The world around you changes. Even she, the woman who ignored you, will change the way she perceives you, because you will no longer be the same man who reacted, who sought, who explained. You will be a new man, a man who doesn't ask, who chooses. And in that moment, paradoxically, your silence will begin to make noise, not in words, but in her mind. Because the absence of the energy you gave will be more powerful than any forced presence. Silence is the language of the strong. It is the voice of kings, the prayer of the wise, the discipline of free men. It is not a lack of response, it is the definitive answer. Every time a woman ignores you, she is not actually destroying you. She is revealing you. It shows you who you really are when the world no longer pays you attention. when your ego no longer finds validation, when silence becomes the only mirror you can see yourself in. It is there, in that burning solitude, that your rebirth begins. Because when everything that defined you disappears, love, routine, words, connection, all you have left is who you are. And if you learn not to run from that emptiness, you'll discover that it wasn't empty at all. It was space. Space to rebuild yourself. Rebuilding doesn't start with forgetting her. It starts with remembering yourself. Who you were before waiting for answers. Who you were before measuring your worth based on someone else's interest. Who you were when your silence was enough to make you feel at peace. Many men, when ignored, immediately try to fill that void. With another woman, with distractions, with work, the gym, social media, sex, recognition. But all of this is anesthesia, not healing. The Stoic doesn't run from pain. He lives through it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whatever hinders action becomes action. Whatever stands in the way becomes the way." Don't avoid pain. Use it. Turn it into fuel. Every wound is raw material. Every silence is an internal laboratory. Every night you feel empty is a moment of forging. You are becoming a man no longer defined by how he is treated, but by how he responds to treatment. The first phase of reconstruction is awareness. Look the truth in the face without embellishing it. Admit to yourself that he ignored you, that he disappointed you, that he hurt you. Admit that you believed, that you invested, that you hoped. There is no shame in feeling. The shame is in pretending not to feel. But don't stay there. Don't make pain your home. Use it as a starting point. After awareness comes the decision. Deciding that you will not define yourself by what you have lost, but by what you will build. Deciding that you will not let a lack determine your worth. Deciding that your peace will no longer be negotiable. Every decision made in silence carries more weight than 100 speeches. Because it is not theatrical, it is rooted. The third phase is concrete reconstruction. Remember, the mind doesn't heal just by thinking. It heals by doing. Rebuilding yourself means putting your world back in order. It means getting up soon, even when you don't want to. Training your body, even when you feel empty. Reorganizing your day, even if it seems useless. Reading, walking, breathing, without expecting immediate results. Because discipline is the medicine of the heart. Epictetus said, "No one is free unless he is master of himself." Every small, coherent action, getting up, working, eating well, sleeping, is a brick of freedom. It's how you rebuild your strength, piece by piece, until you return to inhabiting yourself. And one day, you will realize that you are no longer thinking about her, not because you have stopped loving her, but because you have stopped depending. Its image will cease to cause you pain. It will become only a symbol of what you have overcome. This is how Stoic gratitude is born. Not the sweet gratitude of someone who gives thanks because everything went well, but the fierce gratitude of someone who gives thanks even for what has burned. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." When you learn to see the wound as an opportunity, you are no longer a victim of fate. You become its sculptor. And then you begin to understand. It wasn't fate that saved you. You found yourself through its absence. Rebirth is not a romantic act. It's a disciplined act. It's saying every day, "I will not return to where I lost myself." It's choosing calm over reaction. It's choosing solitude over empty company. It's choosing respect over neediness. And the more you choose this, the more you realize your life is reordered. Not because someone returns, but because you have returned. The man who is reborn after being ignored is no longer the same. He no longer seeks proof of love, no longer fears silence, no longer confuses affection with dependence. He has learned that everything that truly matters comes from self-control. This is the heart of Stoicism, using reason to transform suffering into wisdom, using detachment to become more present, using loss to rediscover power. And when, one day, someone asks you, "How did you get back on your feet?" you will smile and answer, I stopped looking outside for what I was supposed to find inside. There comes a moment, after all the pain, after the silence, after the confusion, when you realize you no longer ask yourself the same question, why doesn't she want me? And then you understand that you are healing. Because when you stop asking yourself, why her, you start asking yourself, why me? Why did I allow someone to define my worth? Why did I believe that giving everything was enough to be loved? Why did I forget myself for someone who no longer saw me? It is the most important moment of your rebirth. When the anger fades, the pain subsides, and only the truth remains. The truth is that it wasn't a question of worth, but of perception. She didn't reject you because you weren't worth it, but because she no longer felt you. And she no longer felt you because you had stopped radiating that presence that made you unique. It's not about beauty, status, or power. It's about energy. The energy of a man who knows who he is, who doesn't ask, who doesn't beg, who doesn't fear loneliness. When you've lost it, you've also lost the attraction that comes from that security. But there's no point in beating yourself up. You just need to rebuild, not to win it back, but to win yourself back. Epictetus said, "Don't try to please others, try to please yourself." Self-esteem doesn't return when someone chooses you again. It returns when you choose yourself every day, even when no one else does. Every time you respect your boundaries. Don't write that useless message. Don't chase an explanation. Don't accept less than you deserve. You're saying to the world, "I'm enough," and the world responds. Because life, like love, is a reflection of your inner state. When you feel lacking, you attract lack. When you feel complete, you attract respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul is colored by the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are of scarcity, your life will be filled with absences. If your thoughts are of abundance, your presence becomes magnetic. You don't need to do something to regain your self-esteem. You need to stop doing everything that destroys it. Stop comparing yourself. Stop explaining yourself. Stop begging. Stop believing you have to prove yourself. A man with self-esteem doesn't ask to be loved. He chooses those who deserve to love him. Not because he's arrogant, but because he knows the value of his own energy. And that energy isn't wasted on those who don't know how to receive it. When a woman doesn't want you, the average man's mind searches for 1,000 explanations. She's afraid of love. She has a difficult past. She needs time. The truth is simpler and harsher. She doesn't feel you. You no longer touch her deeply, and you can't force it. You can't make yourself desired by asking to be desired. You can only become desirable again, and not for her, for yourself. Because self-esteem doesn't come from external recognition. It comes from daily self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you face a fear, every time you act with integrity, even when no one's looking, you're building self-esteem. It's an invisible, yet incredibly powerful currency. The more you build it, the more the world responds to you differently. The woman who ignored you won't come back out of pity. She'll come back out of curiosity. Because she'll sense that you're no longer the same. That you no longer react, no longer ask, no longer give in. That you've become a whole man. And the whole man is never rejected. It's recognized. But at that point, she will no longer be the measure of your worth, because you'll have understood that no one can give you or take away what you've built inside. The Stoics called it ataraxia, imperturbable calm, the feeling that nothing can hurt you because nothing can take away your peace. When you get to this point, you no longer seek answers from those who ignored you. You realize that the answer was you, always. You no longer ask yourself, "Why doesn't he want me?" You ask yourself, "Why did I stop wanting myself?" And that question changes your life. You begin to invest in yourself like never before, to build the body you had neglected, to develop the skills you had put off, to cultivate the calm you had lost. Every small step forward becomes a brick in the house of your new self-esteem. And one day, looking in the mirror, you will understand that you no longer need anyone to feel good enough. You will have become your own point of reference again. you will have become what you sought in others. Marcus Aurelius said it with disarming simplicity. Look within yourself. There is the source of goodness, and it can gush forth eternally if you always dig. You don't need to be chosen to feel valid. You just need to dig, every day, until you rediscover that wellspring of strength that never runs out. And when you find her again, there is no woman who can take away your peace by ignoring you, no silence that can make you falter, because your self-esteem no longer depends on who stays, but on who you are when you're alone. Male desire has been misunderstood for centuries, confused with hunger, with conquest, with ego. But true desire, the deep, mature, conscious kind, is not born of need. It is born of fullness. A man who desires because he needs is a man in chains. A man who desires because he chooses is a free man. And herein lies the most important transformation of all, moving from desiring to fill yourself, to desiring because you are already full. When a woman ignores you, it doesn't just hurt your heart. It affects your perception of desire. You feel rejected, you feel invisible, and you mistake the lack of her interest for the lack of your value. Then, a primal instinct kicks in, to win her back. But that isn't desire. It's fear disguised as passion. It's the ego trying to regain its control. True desire, however, is not born from the need to possess. It is born from the freedom of not needing. The Stoic does not repress desire. He governs it. Epictetus said, "It is not bad to desire, but desire what depends on you." When you desire a woman who ignores you, you are desiring something you cannot control. And in that moment, you lose power. Because every misdirected desire becomes dependence. But when you learn to desire consciously, your perspective changes. You no longer seek to have, you seek to choose. And the choice becomes your act of power. A man who chooses does not beg for attention. He does not confuse lack with love. He does not chase emotion, he creates it. And he creates it within himself, through discipline, presence, calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "He who is master of himself has nothing left to fear." When you master your desire, you are no longer afraid of either attraction or rejection, because you know that both are natural and do not define who you are. Uncontrolled desire pushes you to seek validation. Conscious desire pushes you to grow, because every impulse you learn to observe without giving in becomes strength. Every temptation you transform into presence becomes power. Every lack you don't fill with distractions becomes energy available to build. This is how desire becomes fuel. It doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. It doesn't empty you, it directs you. Many men don't understand that virility isn't about letting off steam. It's about transmuting, transforming tension into concentration, transforming need into direction, transforming emptiness into creation. The Stoics didn't deny desire. They disciplined it like a wild horse, not to quench it, but to guide it. Because male desire, when guided, becomes the force that builds, protects, and inspires. But when left free, it becomes the force that destroys, consumes, and depends. And this is where many fall. When a woman ignores them, they can't separate desire from pride. They don't know if they really want her, or if they just want to be desired again. It's the most common and most dangerous illusion, believing that desire is recognition. In reality, it's a reflection. It shows you where you're projecting your power, and if that power is still in someone else's hands, you're not free. The Stoic, on the other hand, desires without attachment to the outcome. He desires lightly, calmly, forcefully. He can love a woman intensely, but he doesn't stop being himself if she leaves, because he doesn't desire the woman. He desires the experience of love. It's a subtle but revolutionary difference. When you love the experience, you can't be hurt by someone who doesn't reciprocate, because what you seek isn't outside, it's inside. And then, desire is no longer slavery, but freedom. Freedom to feel without losing yourself. Freedom to choose without need. freedom to be fulfilled even in lack. Marcus Aurelius said it with almost divine clarity: pleasure and pain, fame and oblivion are all alike to those who live according to nature. This is the pinnacle of male maturity. When you desire without fear of rejection because you are not seeking a result, you are simply living in accordance with your nature. Your masculine energy is pure desire, but it must be directed toward something greater than a body, greater than momentary attention. Direct it toward your mission, toward your growth, toward your personal development. And paradoxically, the more you desire your evolution, the more desirable you become. Because nothing attracts like a man with a purpose. He doesn't talk about himself, doesn't explain, doesn't demonstrate. He acts, and his action becomes his perfume. The woman smells it, not because he looks at her, but because he doesn't need her. Not because he chases her, but because he doesn't fear her. Desire in that man is calm. It doesn't burn. It warms. It doesn't consume. It illuminates. This is authentic desire, the kind that doesn't arise from emptiness, but from completeness. The kind that doesn't depend on others, but can be shared with those who are ready to receive it. And if no one comes, that's okay, because the desire to live, to grow, to be, is already enough to fill your soul. Don't try to control desire. Understand it. Observe where it goes, what it wants, what it's fleeing from, and then bring it home, like bringing a fire back to the fireplace. It shouldn't burn down the house. It should warm it. And when you learn to do that, you become what the Stoics called the inner man, centered, lucid, ardent, but never a slave. You desire, yes, but you desire like a king, not like a beggar. No one teaches you how coldness can be a gift. Most men fear it, hate it, take it as an affront. But those who are alert, those who have eyes to understand, know that indifference is a silent teacher, because in a woman's coldness there is always a lesson that life is sending you. Not to punish you, but to show you where you're still reacting like a child. Coldness forces you to stop. It forces you to look at yourself, to ask yourself, why do I need her to warm me to feel alive? Every time you seek the warmth of someone who doesn't give it to you, you're confessing to yourself that you don't have enough inside. Here's the truth that few accept. Coldness isn't the problem. It's the mirror of your emotional dependence. Because if you were whole, stable, centered, coldness wouldn't destroy you. It would leave you indifferent. But as long as it destabilizes you, it means there's still something inside you that needs healing. The Stoic doesn't run away from indifference. He studies it, he uses it, he transforms it. Epictetus said, "Every difficulty shows a man who he is." And coldness is a refined difficulty. It doesn't yell at you, it doesn't attack you, it takes away something invisible, a tension, and if you're not prepared, you collapse. Because modern man has been educated to feel alive only when someone is watching him. But a real man doesn't need spectators. His presence is self-sustaining. When she becomes cold, you mustn't try to melt her. You must become warmer inside, not in the emotional sense, in the vital sense. You must generate the energy you need to stay moving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is in your power, why do you complain? If it is not, why are you agitated?" A woman's coldness is not in your power, but your reaction is. This is where her indifference becomes a teacher. It forces you to choose between reaction and mastery, between hurt and discipline, between need and freedom. When she ignores you, when she answers you with monosyllables, when her gaze no longer has the warmth, you have two options. Chase her to regain control, or thank her, mentally, for showing you how much power you had lost. Every time you choose the latter, you grow. Because you understand that you can't force anyone to hear you. You can only become so solid that you no longer need to be heard. Indifference isn't just a sign that she's moved away. It's a cosmic message telling you, look how much you were missing out on. You had identified with love, with relationship, with attention. You had forgotten about the center, and now, without her warmth, you must rekindle your fire. And that fire, if you build it well, will never go out. The Stoics called it autarky, the ability to be self-sufficient. It's not isolation, it's self-sufficiency. It's knowing that your peace doesn't depend on anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look inside yourself. Inside you is a source that never runs dry, if only you dig hard enough." A woman's coldness pushes you to dig deeper, to ask yourself where you lost your connection to your strength, to realize that you were waiting for something that only you could give yourself. Most men hate indifference because they have never learned to be in silence. But silence is not emptiness. It is the space where answers are born that you would never find in noise. And when you learn to stay within it, to breathe in its absence without suffocating, something powerful happens. Your energy reorders itself. The chaos within you calms, and you begin to see clearly what fear previously obscured. You don't need it to feel whole. You need to find yourself. And when you find yourself, coldness no longer scares you. It becomes your teacher, because you know that every cold gesture, every distant word, every lack of response is nothing more than a lesson in mastery. Coldness teaches you that love without respect is not love, that passion without reciprocity is illusion, that attachment without balance is slavery. And it does so in the most effective way, by not speaking to you, by forcing you to feel. Epictetus would say it this way: "The things that disturb us have no power over us, but we grant them power when we interpret them as insults." Coldness is not an insult. It's a test, a check on your level of control. You can complain, or you can use it. You can beg, or you can learn. You can remain immature, or you can become a man no indifference can ever destabilize. And when you become that, you no longer feel anger. You feel only silent gratitude, because you understand that that woman, with her coldness, has taught you the lesson that no easy love would ever have taught you: how to stand on your own 2 feet. And there, in your newfound balance, you no longer need anything. Not a message, not a confirmation, not a return. You already have everything. You have yourself. You have calm. You have clarity. And when a man has this, there is no coldness in the world that can hurt him. At the end of it all, after the unspoken words, the long nights, the imagined explanations, and the answers never arrived, only one thing remains: silence. But not the silence that punishes, not the silence that weighs, not the silence that divides, the silence that rebuilds. It is the moment when you stop reacting, you stop searching, you stop wanting to understand everything, and you begin finally to feel yourself. This is the point where the imperturbable man is born, not because he no longer feels anything, but because he has learned to master what he feels. It is the silence after the storm, when you stop fighting reality and begin to flow with it, when you realize that life wasn't against you, it was just training you. Every ignorance, every detachment, every disappointment was an exercise in teaching you the greatest of virtues: self-mastery. The Stoics called it apatheia, which doesn't mean apathy, but absence of disturbance. It is the state of someone who feels everything, but is no longer dominated by anything. He who loves, but is not lost. He who loses, but does not collapse. He who watches the world change, but remains steadfast as a mountain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The wind may bend a flexible tree, but it cannot move the oak that knows its own root." Becoming imperturbable is not becoming cold. It is becoming profound. It is knowing that everything external, love, rejection, silence, recognition, is temporary, and that everything that matters lives within you. Inner silence is your fortress. It is the point where nothing enters unless you allow it, where the mind calms, the body breathes, and the heart stops chasing those who have nowhere to go. To get there, you must pass through the pain. You cannot skip it. You cannot pretend to be imperturbable. You must become it. And you become imperturbable only when you have felt everything, when you have cried, lost, resisted, and realized that you are still standing. Strength comes not from avoiding wounds, but from surviving them. Inner silence comes when you stop trying to control the outside world, when you understand that true freedom is not changing others, but ceasing to be a slave to their actions. Epictetus said it with absolute clarity. Do not seek for things to happen as you wish. Desire them to happen as they happen, and you will be at peace. It is the surrender of the warrior who does not give up, but accepts the rhythm of life with confidence. The imperturbable man has no need to prove anything. He does not justify himself, does not explain himself, does not compete. He walks the world calmly, and that very calm is the sign of his mastery. He has learned that everything he needs is within: direction, strength, peace. He no longer needs to be understood, no longer needs to be chosen, no longer needs to be confirmed. His value no longer depends on who looks at him, but on how he looks at himself in the mirror. And in that gaze there is no longer fear. There is acceptance. There is respect. There is presence. Inner silence is not isolation from the world. It is a profound connection with life. It is feeling everything without being overwhelmed by anything. It's loving the temporary, knowing it will pass, and appreciating it for that very reason. Marcus Aurelius said, "Remember that the universe is change, and that your mind has the power to choose how to respond." When you understand this, nothing can truly touch you. Not because you're distant, but because you're full. Inner silence is full of meaning, calm, strength. It's the point where you no longer react to what happens to you, but respond according to who you are. And who you are, finally, no longer depends on anyone. The woman who ignored you becomes just an episode, a part of the journey, not the center. An experience that tempered you, not a wound that defines you. It taught you the difference between attachment and love, between need and choice, between fear and calm. Now you know that freedom comes not when you get what you want, but when you no longer need it. This is the pinnacle of the Stoic man, not the one who always wins, but the one who never loses himself. Inner silence is the echo of your discipline. It's the sound that remains when you stop making noise. It's the voice of your soul when you finally listen to it. And then you realize there's nothing to chase, because everything you seek, peace, strength, clarity, has always been there, inside you, waiting for you to stop running. The modern world pushes you to react, to post, to respond, to explain, to defend yourself. But the imperturbable man doesn't react. He stops, he breathes, he chooses, and his calm becomes a silent revolution, because in the chaos of others, his serenity stands out like a flame in the fog. It's the calm that fascinates, that confuses, that attracts, because no one can fully understand a man who has learned not to react. And here you discover the final truth. Freedom isn't having everything under control. It's no longer needing to control anything. Inner silence is the point where desire gives way to peace, where you no longer have to feel anything to feel alive, where you no longer need confirmation because your presence is already your proof. And then the world suddenly changes color, not because it has become easier, but because you have become deeper. You walk calmly, speak little, listen a lot. You no longer try to convince, because you know that those who are ready will understand you without words. And silence, that silence that once hurt you, now protects you. Now it is your home. Epictetus would say, "When the soul has found peace, no man can take it away, not even those who ignore it." You have weathered the storm. You have lost, you have felt, you have resisted. And now, finally, you are free. Free to feel without suffering. Free to love without dependence. Free to live without fear of loss. This is the true power of the Stoic. Not to dominate others, but to dominate yourself. Not to change the world, but to stand firm as the world changes. And now that silence lives within you, you no longer need answers, because you have become your own answer.